happen often without warning and demonstrate the power of nature to destroy homes, even whole communities, and to disrupt lives. Destruction that can come in an instant. When a disaster strikes, a number of organizations, such as the Red Cross or the Federal Emergency Management Agency, step in and begin providing relief. Since 1980, an important partner in that effort has been Children's Disaster Services, an ecumenical program of the Church of the Brethren that provides care and emotional support for children and families impacted by disasters. Children's Disaster Services has created a national network of trained and screened volunteers to work with traumatized children using toys that stimulate imaginative play and to consult with parents about their child's unique needs.
Children's Disaster Services is designed to go into shelters and service centers and watch children for parents, and it gives the parents a respite and it gives the children a break from the whole disaster setting. They have a little bit of normal in their play.
I've worked with Children's Disaster Services for several operations, and in my mind, you guys are just wonderful. You really are. We get a lot of offers for people to take care of children, but we're responsible for the children in the shelters, and it's really important that we give it to an organization that we have absolute faith in. And you've proven that to me over the years, that you've been able to provide that.
Our volunteers are very good at going in and focusing at doing what they're there to do, and that is just to care for children. There's so many distractions on a disaster site, so many different needs that could be addressed, but our volunteers are focused, we care for children, we keep them safe, and do that very well.
Very often, the adults are overwhelmed by the situation, and they try and put on kind of either a brave face for the children. Sometimes they shut down completely as parents.
It's not that the parents don't love them, it's just that they're so wrapped up in getting their lives back in order that they don't have the time to spend with the child.
This has been very helpful. It's a blessing from God. I was able to get a break. I was able to register with the Red Cross disaster team, and hopefully it'll help us put our lives back together.
It also gives kids the chance to play with other children and just be a kid, and I think that's real important.
Volunteers bring with them a suitcase called a Kit of Comfort.
Our Kit of Comfort is designed with specially selected toys that promote imaginative play. Things like art materials, doll families and baby dolls. We have cars, we have blocks, and things that don't have a particular way that you have to play with them. Play is the work of children. When we provide them with toys that promote imaginative play, then they can show us how they feel about the disaster and what they've experienced when they don't have the words for it.
One of the popular activities is painting, which allows children to express feelings about the trauma they're experiencing.
After Katrina, there were a lot of people who had to leave their homes in the middle of the night, so we had a lot of black paintings with expressing that feeling of blackness. And here we've had a lot of children just experimenting. Some pictures of houses. There was one very compelling picture of a house with lightning going beside it. This is a flood zone. The families who are here have been evicted by the floods.
I got lightning, I got rain, and the dark clouds.
So we had a lot of blue used today.
And each one of the things that they do here is something that helps them to express themselves and express frustrations or express anger or express joy or whatever it is that they need. The rice, for instance, when they play with rice and they just move their hands and work through the rice, and the piece of that is wonderful.
Play doesn't need a translator. It's a universal language. And so coming alongside the children and playing with them and having them take us by the hand and show us what it was that they wanted to do, seeing the images that they were creating that represented their experiences and things like that really didn't need words.
To be able to respond to each child individually, to be able to be open to wherever that child is, and to create a welcoming, nurturing environment where the children can feel safe and where they can just be kids. And that's really the important part of our mission.
For as much as the volunteers do for the children, they also provide a valuable service for their parents.
They can relax and take a nap or take a shower or do whatever they want to. In a service center, the same way, the parents can focus on what they need to do and fill out their application forms without children needing to use the bathroom or needing to play or wanting to do something, while the parents really have to focus on what they need to do to rebuild their lives.
When they come back, you ask them, did you get everything taken care of? You give them encouragement words. And if they have a story they want to tell you, you listen. And they'll give you a hug, and they thank you so much for taking care of the kids. Yes. Especially when the kids don't want to leave. They say, I don't believe it. You know, this is the little boy she left crying, and she comes back and he don't want to leave.
Volunteers ensure that the child care centers are places of order and calmness.
When a child comes to our child care center, we are 100% about the children, and we are taking care of them. Kids they're so intuitive. I mean, they know when mom and dad are upset, but we give them the chance to just be kids for the time that they're with us.
The success of Children's Disaster Services depends on the willingness of volunteers to respond up to 2 weeks at a time. And the effectiveness of the volunteers depends on an intensive weekend workshop that teaches them about the special needs of children after disasters and how the toys and materials in the kit of comfort help children express themselves. They also practice setting up a child care center with limited supplies and in difficult locations, and even get a feel for some of the children's play activities. After completing the workshop, participants who are 18 years of age or older are screened and must undergo background checks. A special workshop for experienced volunteers prepares them for the critical response team, in which Children's Disaster Services responds within 4 hours to the location of a terrorist attack or aviation disaster, and attend to the special needs of children in those settings as well.
Our volunteers are fabulous. When we give them a call, they'll drop everything and go to a disaster site for 2 weeks at a time. Often they'll say, gee, I do have a lot to do, but you know, it isn't anything that someone else couldn't do, so yeah, I'll go.
Oh, it is hard work. And when you go into wherever your living conditions are at the end of the day, you're exhausted. But there's a satisfaction of knowing that maybe I made just a small difference in one of the children's lives.
Have to put yourself aside and just be there for them. It's truly a servant role that you take.
I've done a lot of different things in my life. My background's quite varied, and yet there's nothing I've done that touches and moves me in the way this does.
When we were out one time, and a parent came to sign out her child, and as she was signing her out, she just burst into tears. And when she finally collected herself enough to explain what had happened, she said that her child had not spoken or played since the disaster had occurred, and she was just so amazed at seeing what her child was doing in the center. Then she just, despite the fact that she had so many adult things to attend to get her life back in order, she just sat down and watched her child play for a very long time. So even though we were focused on the child and the child's needs, we were also meeting the parents as well.
Children's Disaster Services is the only organization in the United States that is exclusively devoted to meeting the needs of children after a disaster. Children are not little adults. They have unique needs that require specialized attention. CDS has a long history of providing this support to children and their families. Join us. Become a volunteer. Sponsor a workshop. Tell others about CDS. Hold a special fundraiser. Make a donation. And we always need your prayers.